I can't stop thinking about the entitlement of Colleen Hoover and all of these women involved in the events with this case. It is next level and so infuriating. There's not a single one of them that had the bare minimum gratitude for the fact that they were working. Every single one of these things. Colleen Hoover getting her book published, Colleen Hoover getting her book turned into a movie. These are all threading the needle type of opportunities that it's so hard for anybody to get. And yet they were all given an opportunity. They've all been given work. They've all been paid. And not a single one of them stopped to be like, I really don't like how this was going. I really don't like that it's like this, but you know what? Thank you. Thank you for keeping me working. Thank you for funding this opportunity, etc. Not a single one of them showed the bare minimum decency of that. And that is what's so infuriating, because in March of 2025, Alex Sachs was giving that interview talking about how hard it is to get funded, how hard it is, even when you're at the top of your game, to find people who will fund your projects, to get paid for projects that are often passion projects. And that's the thing. This may not have been her passion project, but she still got hired. She got work. She got paid for this. And at no point do I see any of them like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I was given the opportunity to put something else on my resume so that it makes it easier when I go to the next project, that I can have this on my resume as one more thing that will help me get funded, that will help me continue doing work in this industry. Instead, every single one of them came back and shit on Justin, shit on Jamie, shit on Steve Sarowitz, and then expected all of them to throw their jackets down so they could step over the puddle. And were furious when that didn't happen. I wonder why. In my next life, can I come back as a white woman? Is that what it is, that I need to have a life where I come back having all the privilege and all the audacity? You know what? I could not imagine being a person who got hired and got paid for my work and then had such a high degree of entitlement that not a single word of gratitude or appreciation ever comes out of my mouth. All of it is insults, like demeaning jokes. And here's the thing. I think the biggest problem started with Colleen Hoover. I think Justin had his heart in the right place. I think Wayfarer had their heart in the right place. But when you source material from a privileged white woman that's doing the work of social justice, that should be, sorry, I stand corrected, that should be doing the work of social justice, because that is what the work of unlearning intergenerational trauma and intimate partner violence is. Social justice. It is unlearning all of the abusive behaviors emotionally, psychologically, decolonizing the structure that everybody bought into to get into that place. And if you are a privileged person that has never counted on social justice in order to reinstate safety, reinstate trust in your life, that's the first problem. So Colleen Hoover, I know she has said that she's a social worker, but she scares me. To think that she ever did work as a social worker out there, and this is the type of human that's underneath all of that, that tells me everything that I need to know. She's just not aware of anything outside of her reality, and that's scary. Because social workers need to be checking their privilege. Social workers need to be understanding power structures. And social workers need to understand the lived experiences of people other than themselves. And if she can't even write a story about intimate partner violence in a way that is even mildly close to accurate, I am glad she's not doing that work anymore. I am glad. But here's the thing. The magic could have happened with this story if Wayfarer, Justin, and Jamie had committed to representation in telling this story. The magic behind A Nice Indian Boy is because they upheld representation in everything. The writer, the production, the performers, everything in front of the camera and behind the camera, all tied into representation. Because they had people with lived experience that was relevant to the story and to the characters. That's why not only is it authentic, but that's also why the magic of the message is so powerful. Because there wasn't anybody coming in and pretending, missing the social cues, missing the cultural cues, missing all of these things that you would know if you have the lived experience. But because they all had the lived experience, they were able to pull together every single piece and nail everything. The same could have happened for It Ends With Us if the source story had been written by a survivor who's done the deep dive work of unlearning the structure, the behaviors of intimate partner violence, confronted the intergenerational trauma, did the work to break the cycles. And then if everybody in front of the camera and behind the camera had all been people who have done relevant work, had similar lived experience of working on intergenerational trauma, that's where the magic of telling that story would have resided. And I think in that regard, it would have also been a situation where the environment would have been there to cultivate the trust and cultivate the communication and the psychological safety to tell such an intense and tragic story, but ultimately with a triumphant ending that is a story of hope and healing. Because they didn't uphold the representation, I think that's why the wheels fell off on this project. And that's what's so heartbreaking, is that survivors, we could have had our voice heard. The message they wanted to deliver could have made it out into the world, again, if representation had existed in front of the camera, behind the camera, and from the source material. But because that wasn't upheld, nobody was in it for the reason Wayfarer was in it. They all showed up for the money. And that's what's so sick and such a betrayal to us as survivors and to the many, many people who were fans of the book.